We are back with another interesting video. We are going to be diving into 5 unanswered Jay Slater questions, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, there's more than 5, but we're just going to stick with the 5. And it doesn't make any sense how Debbie and Warren don't know the answer to any of these 5 questions. One of the things that we never understood, that we couldn't understand, and I'm sure the parents are on the same page, is why Jay went to Masca. Why did Jay go to Masca? So that's one question whereby the only answer we've been given is from Ayub. Other than Ayub, we've never been told why Jay went to Masca. The friends have never objected. The friends have never actually said why Jay went to Masca. In fact, when you go back and listen to Mark Williams Thomas's podcast, and Brandon has given his spiel about the conversation he's having with Jay over the phone, you have to ask yourself at that point, why is Brandon having that conversation with Jay? And what I mean is, tell me why Brandon and Jay are having a conversation about staying at Ayub's house without any of them being there. Bearing in mind, at the inquest, we got told they were all together around 6 o'clock at Magic Mike's. But then no one has an explanation as to why Jay got into Ayub's car and decides to go to Masca and stay at the Airbnb. We just have Brandon painting a picture as if he was speaking to Jay whilst he was at the B&B. So you're telling me that Brandon is the person behind the scenes to Mark Williams Thomas who has painted the picture that Jay's at Ayub's because he's staying over there. And whilst on the phone to him, he showed me the bed that they had made for him. Why would they be making a bed for him, Brandon, if his hotel was only 45 minutes away from the Airbnb, and from the strip, his hotel was only 8 minutes in a car? Why would they be making a bed for him at the B&B? And then all of a sudden, Brandon wants to tell us that Jay just leaves. Why would Jay phone you within 45 minutes of being with you, telling you there's the bed that they've made for me, but you know what? I want to leave. I want to go home. Again, Brandon's the only person who initially painted the Airbnb story to Mark Williams Thomas, alongside Ayub, of course. But we're talking about the friends. When it comes to the friends, when it comes to Brad, when it comes to Brandon, when it comes to Lucy, Brandon is the only person who paints the Airbnb story. See, Brandon's the only one that can paint that story for us, but Brad can't. Lucy can't. Although Jay would have been making calls to them as well. They have nothing to say about Jay being inside the B&B. Everything that Brad and Lucy talk about is Jay being outside the Airbnb, being away from the Airbnb. At no point in their story did they initially tell us about any interactions with Jay whilst he was at the Airbnb until the inquest. And the only person I believe mentioned about any type of interactions with Jay whilst in the B&B would have been Brad. But guess what? He tells us what Brandon told Mark Williams Thomas. So are you telling me that Jay showed both Brad and Brandon the bed that they made for him? He showed both of these guys that, yeah? He showed both of them the bed that they had made for him. What was the bed? Oh, the sofa. So he showed both of these guys the sofa that they made for him. Yeah, really? You've never heard Brad mention that not once before, ladies and gentlemen. But turns up to the inquest and he says the same thing that Brandon told Mark Williams Thomas. Oh yeah, he showed me the bed that he had made for him through the Snapchat call. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, there's still no explanation as to why Jay's at this Airbnb. If we actually go back to Ayub's explanation, he actually says the friends all left him. Okay, so friends, tell me, why did you leave him? Why was Jay left by himself? And then you also got to ask, if his friends left him, why was there not a level of encouragement to call his friends to get him back to his apartment? What logic did it make for a 19-year-old to get into a car and drive all the way to the mountains without no money, but he's going to drive all the way to the mountains, stay there for less than an hour, and then walk home? Not get a cab, not get a bus. I'm going to walk home. Doesn't make sense. It's an unanswered question as to why Jay went to Masca. That question hasn't been answered. Debbie doesn't know why Jay went to Masca. Warren doesn't know why Jay went to Masca. I mean, this is just question 1, ladies and gentlemen. We could be here for years focusing just on question 1. It's probably something that we're going to have to come back to, because that is an unanswered question and they haven't been able to give us a clear enough answer as to why Jay got into the car with Ayub and Rocky and would have went to the Airbnb. It then brings us to question 2. Why did they not go to Jay's location? Why did they not go to Jay's location? Within the first 12 hours of Jay going missing, not one of them went to Jay's location. I mean, we don't even have to spend that much time on this one, ladies and gentlemen, because this makes no sense. And if there's no explanation from any of them as to why they never went to Jay's location, Although he told them he was lying in a ditch, he had cut himself, and he felt like he was going to die. 3 things that tell us this guy was in need of an emergency. Not only did they not even go there, they didn't even send an ambulance to go there. Let's say they were scared. Let's say, oh my God, they don't know what happened and they were thinking all types of wild stuff because they were all on drugs. Let's say that. What you're still telling me, although you filed a missing persons report at 9 o'clock or around 9 o'clock, you couldn't order an ambulance to go to the last location of where Jay told you he was lying in a ditch cut by a cactus, feeling like he was going to die. You couldn't do that. Does Debbie actually know why they didn't go to the location? I mean, in the Sun exclusive, she said, and this was back in August after Jay's funeral, he's saying, referring to Lucy, if you had Jay's location, I don't know why you just didn't go there. And then a whole year later, she contradicts herself by saying, yeah, Lucy done the right thing. That's another unanswered question, ladies and gentlemen. Based on their tone, based on their stories that they have given, Jay clearly was asking for help. He clearly let them know that he was in a desperate situation, a dangerous situation. Not one of them, including Ayab and Rocky, who was staying at the Airbnb, couldn't be bothered to jump in a car, drive for about 5 to 7 minutes to go and see if Jay was okay. They can't say they didn't know because Ayab says that he had the call with Lucy or Brandon at 9 o'clock in the morning. But that's question 2, ladies and gentlemen, something that we don't have the answers to, something that Debbie and Warren do not have the answers to. Now let's move on to question 3. Why did Jay attempt to make 2 payments to the real estate company that declined? One for 320 euros and one for 160 euros. Why were those payments being made? Why was Jay trying to pay a real estate company? Considering that he already has his own place to stay, why would he need to be paying a real estate company? I mean, he was so eager to pay money to that real estate company, he tried to make 2 payments, 320 and 160 euros. Why? It's been brought to my attention that the company was only registered at the end of 2023. We're talking about a handful of months before Jay tried to make payments to them. So why is Jay trying to pay this newly created company that apparently operates in real estate? Which then leads us on to question 4, which would be why within 20 minutes of Jay's bank declining to this company is his friend Hodgie asking him for £200. How and why do we not have the answers to those questions? Those 4 right there, we don't have the answers to those questions. Why? Still got one more to go, ladies and gentlemen. Why doesn't Debbie have the answers to those 4? Why doesn't Warren have the answers to those 4 questions? Or do they actually believe that Jay just randomly got in a car with these 2 guys and on the way to going to their Airbnb for whatever reason, we don't know, you know, a sleepover for whatever reason, Debbie. No, Jay was having a sleepover at Ayab and Rocky's house for whatever reason. Halfway to the Airbnb, he wants to tell the world that he's just stolen a Rolex. And he's off to sell it for £10,000. And the only person that can actually give you an explanation as to why Jay would have said that is Ayab Quasim. Although Jay's best friend Brad tells you at an inquest that Brandon knows so much more about it. He knows more about it than just a Snapchat. Let's just move on to the last one, ladies and gentlemen. Question 5. Why is there no images or no photos or voice notes on Jay's device after 1:10 in the morning? It's another unanswered question, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about a young man that loved to use his phone. We're talking about a young man that was taking videos of himself all the way up till he left that nightclub. He leaves at 1:10 with at least 40% battery at that point. Bearing in mind, his phone didn't die until 8:50 that morning. But up until that point of his battery dying, this guy took no more pictures, no more videos, and clearly sent no voice notes. Leading up to him leaving the nightclub at 1:10, he was taking a lot of videos. In fact, the documentary shows us the last video they found on his phone. And that was the one where he put his arm around Brandon. He looks totally finished. He's on the cusp of collapsing. There is no way Jay went outside, sobered up, and got on with it. Not based on the state and condition that Jay was in at NRG Festival. No way. Then tell me why they wouldn't go out of their way to find more evidence of Jay after 1:10. See, they show us the grainy image of someone in Tramps, the nightclub at 307. But with all honesty, it's a photo that's unidentifiable. You can't say that's Jay. See, the 2 screenshots we see of him coming out of the nightclub at 1:10, I can look at that and say, yeah, that's Jay. I can look at the haircut. That's the reason I can tell the person in the back of the car who claims to be with 2 Somali kids this time, That wasn't Jay. You know, there's been a part of me that thought, yeah, that was Jay. It could be Jay. It does look a bit like Jay. Maybe it's someone that has been hit on the back of the head, so their face is kind of swollen. And again, that is still possible. But when I look at Jay and I look at his facial features, I look at his head shape, I look at his hairstyle, I just don't believe it was Jay in the back of the car with Ayub taking that photo. And I'm not talking about the one that was produced at the inquest. No. I'm talking about the original photo of Jay claiming to be with two Somali kids off to sell an AP. So the second version of Jay claiming to have stolen the watch. That second version is not Jay. That photo is a part of everything that they have been doing from day one, ladies and gentlemen. Something that I've been telling you, making it look like. Everything in this story is a make it look like. We got given facts at the inquest, and those facts, these unanswered questions, tell us that something else happened. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The Spanish police, the UK police, obviously, as well as the parents, have not looked into what happened to Jay after 1:10. They've allowed the friends, Chris Tenerife and Ayub, basically tell them what happened in Jay's final hours. Because they're the only ones that have told us the story. The friends, Ayub, and Chris Tenerife. They're the ones who have told us what the narrative was after 1:10, and that is what it was. If you don't believe that narrative, then you're a conspiracist, you're spreading misinformation, you're just doing it for the money. These are the facts, basically. That is more or less what they are telling us. They are telling us that without the professionals, the real professionals, doing a real investigation. I mean, the documentary tells us all we need to know. There was not one person from the Guardia Civil telling us the process that they had to take. We got lumped with Chris Tenerife, a person that Debbie didn't even want to thank on any of the GoFundMes. The first time I heard Debbie mention anything about Chris Tenerife is when she went on that Telegraph podcast. And that was literally about a month ago. Anyway, we're going to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. 5 unanswered questions, and we are going to be back with more videos, so don't go anywhere. There's still plenty more to talk about when it comes to Jay Slater and trying to understand what truly happened to him. So don't go anywhere. Make sure you turn your notification bells on so you don't miss out on future videos. We've got more videos uploading in regards to the society that we're currently living in, ladies and gentlemen. It is a dangerous place. It is a scary place. And I'm definitely going to be here to keep you guys up to date. So make sure you don't go anywhere. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn those notification bells on, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.